positive in dubiety, ambiguity incarnate, that arch exponent, the one and only Mr. Larry Grayson!
No doubt you've heard that well-known song they sang in bygone days. My fiddle is my sweetheart, it used to be the craze. But fiddling I have always thought, infra-dig, you know. My bicycle is my sweetheart, my friends will tell you so.
For over 30 years, Larry Grayson wore a dress and toured the country as a drag artist. When he changed into a suit, success was on its way.
I was lying down, and my friend Everard, he came in, and he was all flushed. He was flushed. I said, Everard, I said. I said, Everard, I said, I've never seen you flush like that before, I said. Not since we sang in the choir together. Before your voice broke, and that's another story. Here we go.
After the occasional TV appearance in the early 70s, he suddenly became a star as host of the Generation Game. Everard, Slack Alice, and Larry Grayson became a national institution. He belongs to a breed of entertainers which is fast disappearing, born into the best traditions of music hall and nurtured on the hard circuit of clubs and regional theatres.
Well, we haven't. So it's two to you and no for our man. Because they never had. I can't think why he's bundling on in that coach. And now, mistake number 3. He's playing a saxophone. This jolly gentleman, and because it should be a post horn. Isla, have you got that?
No, we haven't got that, no.
No, we haven't either. So no marks, I'm afraid. You see, he's doing his bit here with a thing in it, because it should be a post horn. Not. Get in. Now. Mistake number 4. It is the horse's legs. There should be 8 legs, but there's 9.
It really was a great show.
Oh, yes.
Welcome. Now, your whole life has actually been devoted to entertaining, to show business. Did you ever actually contemplate anything else?
Never. Never, ever, Chris. As far back as I can remember. As a little boy, they used to stand me on the kitchen table. You know, there was a scrub-top kitchen tables, because my people who adopted me was a miner, you know, a little terraced house we lived in. They used to stand me on the table, had one of those gramophones with a horn, but there was no dog looking down it, and they used to wind it up and put it on, and they said, do the actions, and I used to do the actions, you see. couldn't do it for words. And then later on, when I could sing, you know, talk a lot, I used to put a record and play it a few times, and I got the words. I mean, we had records of Leighton and Johnson, you know, people like that, and I used to sing the words along. They thought I was ever so clever.
And that was just as a toddler?
Just as a toddler, yes, and nobody knew where I got it from at all.
Did you then
say shows off, he's showing off, he'll grow out of it. Because none of my people, because none of my people were in show business at all, you see. They kept saying, where's he got this acting from? Showing off all the time. But it wasn't, it was something in me, you see.
Did you then do all the school productions? The
always.
Nativity plays and so on?
Well, of course, the nativity plays. I love Christmas. Like the gas mantles and the logs on the fire, old-fashioned school. And when it came time for the nativity play, I pushed myself forward, because we were in the juniors. And they said they're going to do the children. The youngest in the school always did the nativity plays. It was left to them, the manger and everything, you know, and Jesus, Mary and everything. And of course, I was chosen. I was cock-a-hoop, because they chose me to be a shepherd, and that was all very well, you see, with the like sackcloth stuff. It was a potato bag, actually, with the top cut off. Put my head through, and then I saw all this glitter come in one day. You see, I said, "What's all this?" I mean, at that age, and they said, "There's for the wise men." So of course I bounded over to the teacher. I said, please, Miss, Miss Farmer. She said, yes. I said, please, Miss, can I be a wise man? She said, you're a shepherd. Get back at once. I said, but I'd like to be a wise man. She said, well, you can't. She said, that's all there is to it. I said, what about Joseph, then? She said, Raymond Stark is playing Joseph, and it's not going to be altered. I said, well, who's playing Mary? I mean, will you think of the cheek? But I remember it very well. Jane Sheldon. I said, she has pimples, she's got a boil on her neck, and I'm sure the Virgin Mary never had a boil on her neck, and I got a smack straight across my face and knocked me flying. So
It didn't put you off, though?
Oh, certainly not, no.
Well, you chose what short...
Actually, I did end up as a wise man.
In that production?
Yes, because the kid got whooping cough and measles or something and was taken out. So they said, give him the part, because I was quite tall and thin, give him the part with the wise man. So I got all the glitter on. So I pushed forward, didn't I? I kept going forward and looking at the audience.
A star
all the
was
glitter.
born.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you chose one of the hardest jobs in the world, which
Yes.
is going out on stage by yourself, no props, and trying to make people laugh. Now, why go for a hard job like that? What is it, the ego, the money, the...
Never thought of anything else, Chris. Never. I love making people laugh. I've always done it. I never thought of it being a hard job. It just seemed the most natural thing for me to do. And whatever I did, people used to laugh, and I loved it. And I loved audiences. I still do. I love a crowd of people there. It's marvellous. I've had some marvellous experiences, especially during the war, when I used to entertain the troops and go to hospitals for the wounded and war workers and all that, and to see all those people there, and me making them laugh, you know. I thought if people could stand behind me and see all this, it's a wonderful gift, you know.
Well, from those early days, something you've asked to be included in the time capsule is an early tour of Devon.
That's right, yes.
What brought you down here?
Well, of course, it was the terrible winter of 1947. And I came down here with a man called Harry Leslie, who died not very long ago. He was nearly 90 when he died. And he brought this little show. They had quite a few shows in Devon, you know, go around the villages in Cornwall. The show that Harry had was called Tomorrow's Stars. And we're all young hopefuls. You know, we got £2 a week. And we used to stay at little houses in the villages, £half-a-crown a night, bed and breakfast. And I remember playing at Cristo, of all places, where my dear, dear friend Arthur Marshall now lives. And he didn't live there then, but when I tell him about it, Arthur always says to me, oh, Larry, you know, when you came to Cristo in 1947, and he said, what was the show called again? I said, Tomorrow's Stars, what held me back? And he goes into fits of laughter, because it was not until 1972 when I became a star, and that was 1947. And yet I never gave up in all those years.
And just recently, you were returned to Cristo, as we can see in this clip.
When I did, we used to all come on, with Mr. Leslie liked us all on at first in our suits, you see. And then I used to change very quickly into drag. And I used to, shall I show? Okay, well, I used to, remember I was younger then. I put my arms around like this, and the music was playing, I'd come, da-da-da-da, and the shock. And I used to go into, oh, what has happened to me? I'm the silliest one, I'm the son of a gun, and I'm riding on high.
Have you ever seen a man in a frock before?
No, I've never.
What was your first reaction?
I thought he was a bit queer. Like the mauve scarf and he'd fling it around his neck, you know, and he'd twirl it around. And yeah, it was quite interesting and very good. I really enjoyed it.
Into the dance. Can't do it now.
Were they fun, these tours, Larry, or were they just darn hard work?
Well, it was hard work, but we had a lot of fun together, you see. We started at a place called Kenton in North Devon, and then we went to Dunsford, Cristo, like I say, went to Chagford, we went to Oakhampton, we went to Chudley, Stoke Climsland, Lamerton, Gunners Lake.
You can remember all those places after these years?
Yes, and the landladies, I still hear from some of the landladies, you know, still have Christmas cards every year.
Did you have to be on best behaviour? though, being
Always.
part of a
Oh, yes,
touring
indeed.
company?
Well, Harry Leslie said on Sundays we had to go to church. Any village where we played, we travelled on Sunday, we got there on Sunday, and we had to go to church and behave ourselves all the time, because people said then, they're very good living, all those boys and girls, you know. Well, boys, because one girl, Brenda, gave it, she left, and they said, because they were in church on Sunday, so they came. I remember no television in those days, so they came from everywhere to see these concerts. I remember saying to one of the lads in the show, well, there's nobody here in this village. And I said, wait till tonight. And at night, surely there were. Some come with lanterns from over the fields. And it was be packed. And on the second night, we used to have a dance from 10 till 12, a shilling.
After the show?
After the show, because the other lads of the show played an instrument. I was on the door taking the shillings as they came in. The next day, we're off again on a lorry. I remember getting stuck once in Loo. We were there for the week because they had a terrible frost and we couldn't get out. And at the end, we had a farmer's tractor to come to pull the trailer and the car out. And we all piled in. It was marvellous.
All great fun.
Oh, well, of course. And I remember being at a village And one of the things, I can't remember now, but I remember being at the village, and on the Sunday, I read in the paper that Tommy Trinner had opened at the Palladium in a show called Happy and Glorious. And I said, oh, I wonder if ever I'll be at the Palladium. And the Palladium seemed so far away that night in a village in Devon, all those years ago.
Was it always then your ambition to become a star, or did you just want to earn a good living from show business?
I want to be a star, I suppose. But they said, well, you can't be a star, can you? I mean, you can't do anything, can you? I said, well, I can then. So what do? You don't dance, you're a marvellous dancer, you can't sing or anything, you can't play an instrument. What can you do? I said, well, I can talk. So, well, you can't talk yourself to the London Palladium, can you? And when I was on my own, I thought, well, I don't think I can really, but I wouldn't give in, would I? So I kept going on and on.
And one day, of course, you made it.
Of course, one day I did, indeed.
Which is something else for the time capsule, because a star at the Palladium gets his own brass plate, does he not?
That's right, and I have it right here. Look at that. Now, every star that goes to the Palladium, they have that on their dressing room door. Only the star, and every star, when the star leaves, they take that off and put it on this, you see. Now, Bing Crosby, Carmen Miranda, Judy Garland, all the stars have all got one. Frank Sinatra, everybody got one of these, and they give it to you.
So a must for the time capsule. OK, you became a star then. Did you actually realise it? Did you actually go out and say, I finally arrived?
No. No, I didn't. When they told me I was going to be a star in 1972 when I did Saturday Variety, they said, you've got to be a star now, Larry. I said, well, not again. I can't live all through that again because I was going to be a star so many times and nothing happened. And there's a most marvellous thing, Chris, when I did finally get to the Palladium. I'd been twice before, you know. I'd been in 1970, very small on the bill, with Dick Emery, Russ Conway, Peter Noonan and the Hermits, Pete Murray. Pete Murray introduced me on as a new comedy star. Been going around since 1914. And then I went back again with Val Doonican in a show there. And I was still a bit bigger on the bill that time. And that's when they came in from Saturday Variety. The ATV people came in to see me. That put me in the variety show on television early 1972. But when I did get to the Palladium, topping the bill, it was a Monday night, of course, when we opened. One performance, being opening night, and I came out the stage door in the rain with my raincoat on and went and stood in the shop doorway over the road to see my name outside the Palladium. Larry Grayson, the London Palladium, the show business thing of the maker of the world, Palace New York and the Palladium, but the Palladium, yes, because all Americans want to play the Palladium. And there I was up there, and I thought to myself, I thought it'd be so different. And I didn't feel
You didn't actually feel any different?
Not really, because I think it's all the time it took me to get there.
Well,
it was a great
worked all
thrill.
your life for that big thing to become a star. Wasn't that a great anticlimax?
Well, no, not really, but I think you get more of that when it happens very quickly. But remember the years of the damp beds and the train journeys and the lonely nights, all those years travelling round. And then to get there, I thought, oh, I've worked for this so hard. So it was marvellous, but at the same time, it wasn't like becoming a great success like people do today. People become a star today overnight, but of course, then again, they've gone in 2 years, haven't they? You see, I mean, I've had...
They want to be stars quicker today, too.
Yeah, but they don't last as long, do they now? I mean, you know, people say, oh, what happened to them? Very quickly. But you see, I've been in show business since I was a boy, and I've been a star since 1972. And people say, what a shame it came late, but I disagree, because now I'm still, up there, but I'm not. I can do what I want. I can relax and think. It doesn't matter. I'm not afraid of fading now because.
Going back into those early days, Larry, who were the stars that were your heroes and heroines who you would like to include in the time capsule?
Oh well, of course, the greatest lady of them all in British musical was our own Gracie Fields. Gracie Fields was great. Films. All right, but you had to see her on the stage. And when I was a kid, I used to go to the cinema to see her in lovely films like Look Up and Laugh, Sing As We Go, Looking on the Bright Side. All those pictures, I love her. I love Gracie. But never saw her in person. She came to Coventry once, near where I lived in person. And it sold out, of course. Couldn't go. And then, just before she died, Rochdale, of course, as everybody knows where she was born, they built a theatre and called it the Gracie Fields Theatre, and I was chosen to be on the bill. Indeed, I was chosen to introduce her. And it was a marvellous thrill. And of course, I met her afterwards and had pictures taken with her, and she was absolutely wonderful. And I said, oh, Miss Fields, you should call me Gracie. Call me Gracie, Larry. I said, Gracie. I said, you can't believe the years I've lived for this moment to meet you. She was absolutely delightful. And then, of course, just after that, they made a Dame Gracie Fields, and unfortunately, she died a while after that, but I did meet her, and of course there's a picture of me in her book, with me standing next to her, which is a wonderful thrill. And of course, Jessie Matthews, Evie Leigh, great stars like that, who I used to go to the cinema to see. Anna Neagle, who's a great friend of mine now, used to go to see her in Peg of Old Drury and Nell Gwynn, all those lovely films, Spring in Park Lane, all those things. And now we're friends, you know.
Well, for the time capsule, let's go back to Gracie Field's first film, I think it was.
Gracie Field's first film was a film called Sally in Our Alley.
Yes, Sally, sing us another song.
Come on, all right. Give us a last one. Just one for the last.
Another song? Yeah. All right. Where's the professor?
Here we are now. Come on, Professor. Come on.
I'll sing that one I was doing last night, that old one. You remember this. Sally, Sally, don't ever wander away from the alley and me. Sally, Sally, marry me, Sally, and happy forever I'll be. When skies are blue, you're beguiling, and when they're gray, you're still smiling, smiling. Sally, Sally, ride over alley. You're more than the whole world to me.
In a business like yours, which is frankly littered with failures, what makes somebody like Gracie Fields a star or Judy Garland a star? What's that special quality they've got?
Who knows? Who knows, Chris? It's just that little extra something. And no one can put the finger on it, exactly what it is. You see some people and you think, oh, yes, they're all right. But George Formby had it, you know. He came with that ukulele, like many people do, but they just have that little extra something that makes them a star.
It's also quite interesting that a lot of them have come from very humble backgrounds.
Well, most of them did. That's the incredible part. Very few people, come from... start off like sort of wealthy and go straight into it. I think it's the well, it used to be the groundwork, the travelling, the struggling that made you a star. The doing without, that's the goal that kept you going.
Working hard was an important part.
Oh, very. I can only think of one star that never really ever struggled. And that was a friend of Gracie Field's, and his name was Norman Evans, who was a big star. And he came from Rochdale, and Gracie said to somebody, you'll love him, you watch him and put him on. And they did, and he went straight to the top. So he never struggled like most people, but that's the only one I know, apart from Joyce Grenfell. And Joyce Grenfell did her piece at the party, and Herbert Farger was there, and he said, oh, you'd be wonderfully one of my reviews. And she said, do you think so? I think I'll do it. And went straight to the West End, one of those reviews. But of course, a remarkable talent, dear Joyce, of course.
But again, those stars came from a day when there was plenty of music hall, there was plenty of variety.
Yes.
Which you haven't got nowadays, because the theatres are disappearing. Does that sadden you?
Oh, very much. You see, every theatre was packed on a Saturday night. People booked from week to week, and it said who was coming next week in person. Arthur Askey in person. We'll have to go. Because remember, you only heard them on the radio. Elsie and Doris Waters in person. What's a good variety bill? And everybody went. And like a week, Gracie Field's did the tours, of course. Packed, sold out. It was marvellous, the theatre in those days. I mean, I was very fortunate living near Coventry, because I saw Ivan Novello in The Dancing Years, Noel Coward in plays. I saw Laurence Olivier in The Devil's Disciple, Vivien Leigh in The Skin of Your Teeth, Catherine Hepburn, The Millionaires, Richard Torber in Old Chelsea. Then the next week, George Formby the next week. Then it'd be Gracie Fields. Then it'd be Revlin and West, the two Leslies, and all these other stars, Tessie O'Shea. And I loved it. Oh, and I thought, to be up there. I used to pay a shilling, to go. And in the war, I used to go in the afternoon. During the war, I used to go in the afternoon, 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock, because they had to be out at 6 because it got dark and the air raid started. And I thought I must get back to get ready for the shelter.
But what has killed the theatre now, though, Larry? I mean, is it just the stars asking for big money, or is it just television?
Oh, so many things started. First of all, we had the when I was going around the theatres, of course the television came in, but they had the rock and roll era with all, you know, that the older people wouldn't go. The kids went shouting and hooting and raving, you see, so the older people stayed away. Then we had the nudes. They came round, you see, cavorting everywhere, the feathers and fans and sequins and glitter. And so the people said, we won't go again. And it went. And I was in a nude show going round, and all the real...
But you weren't nude, no.
Oh, no, I know. No, they wouldn't pay me the money. And, but all the real people that went, you know, book for Saturday Night Jack, we're going Saturday night, you know, Leighton and Johnston are there or somebody or other. And that all went.
Well, the theatres are one thing you would like to preserve. Something else which I know you happen to get upset about, and that's litter and graffiti.
Oh, yes, I do. Oh, Chris, yes, I'm a Virgo, you know. I'm a very tidy person, always have been. Everything has to be tidy. I can't bear writing on walls and litter about the place. I can't bear it, and people write on walls and things and don't even spell it properly.
But is that all sort of symptomatic of something...
Yes, so there's all the manners have gone and the glamour. So we had a lot of glamour in those days. People used to go to the theatre, used to dress up and meet near the theatre, go and have a drink or a meal. They go to the theatre all looking very nice, you know, and everything. And in London, in the West End, they used to dress for the theatre, evening dress and evening gowns, you know, for the lovely plays. But out, it was a night out, it was somewhere to go. And then the nightclubs came along, and when I was doing the nightclubs, all the very big, best clubs, it was party night. The daughters took their mothers and fathers because it was their birthday or their anniversary. And they all went, and it was the marvellous atmosphere. We had dancers and singers. And then came the disco bits and the gyrating, then there came the blue comics, and then people said, we can't take Mother there because that comic's on, it was very dirty, and my mother won't want that. So that, they thought, they brought a certain audience in which have now gone, and so therefore the nightclubs have gone now. That's all over. So that was the...
So what are you left with?
Well, it's a good job at my age, you see, because I don't have to do it now. But people that do have to do it, where do they go? When I finished a summer season, I was booked till the next Christmas. Then I got pantomime. You were never out of work. You went from one thing to the other. And of course, summer shows. Every small place had a summer show, and that's where you went in concert party for the summer, and that's where you learned your job.
Well, let's talk about another professional whose friendship with you was widely publicised, Noele Gordon.
Oh, my dearly darling Nolly, yes. Oh, we were great friends, Chris. Great friends. We became friends in 1972. I always admired her greatly. I saw her in Call Me Madam years and years ago before she did the revival. And we became friends in 1972 and remained friends right until her death. And when I knew I was going to the Palladium with my own show, and I said to the producer, do you think I could get Noele Gordon? He said, I doubt it because of Crossroads, you see. I said, well, ask and try. And they did, and they said yes, if she could go back every night to Crossroads during the day, and which she said, for you, Larry, I will. And she had been on the stage for 15 years, and she was terrified. And I said, you'll be quite all right, my lady, get yourself out there and do your bit. And she did, and she was a great success. And she said, Larry, I'll never forget, you brought me back to the theatre, the lights and the orchestra. I said, it's where you belong. This is where you belong. And I said, and then we were offered a tour after the Palladium, a month at Bristol, a month in Newcastle, a month at Palace, Manchester. I said, Nolly, let's do it. She said, I can't leave Crossroads, can I? What would they do without me? And so we didn't do it. And of course, at the end of the day, as you all know.
Well, a must for your time capsule.
Here we go.
Good luck.
Good luck to you too.
You start.
I'll start. Right. I hear singing and there's no one there. I smell blossoms and the trees are bare. All day long I seem to walk on air. I wonder why. I wonder why. I sleep at night, and once more I wash my appetite. Stars there is nothing you can twinkle in the skies are twinkling in my eyes. I wonder why. She was such fun, Nolly. You know, just before she died, I always made her laugh, Chris. Made her laugh always. She said, I love mascara, and I used to run. And she said, Lau, don't make me laugh. And I used to always do it for wickedness. Just before she died, I rang up at the hospital, and I said to the matron, who she got in there with her then? She said, well, She's got the surgeon in there and 2 friends. She's having her hair done. She's drinking champagne. I said, put me through to her. Got through. She said, darling. I said, don't darling me. Now, listen, I understand you're smoking a pipe these days. Oh, she laughed. She's all loud, though. And we laughed and laughed. I said, I'm coming up to see you. She said, no, you're not. She said, because I'm going home next week, or I may go to the hotel in Ross. So that's that. She said, don't do anything till you hear from me. And, of course, you see, she wouldn't let me go because she looked so ill, which I found out afterwards. And, of course, she died about just a few days after that. But we had so much fun, and she was a dear friend and a dear lady. She really was.
A lovely lady. She spent, of course, a lot of her time in Crossroads, which was one of these TV series which was constantly being attacked by the critics.
Yes.
Now, how do you react to critics? The occasional bad review, if you have had bad reviews.
Well, a lot of them don't know what they're talking about today because a lot of them have never seen anybody great anyway. I mean, they have... I remember being at a variety show at Sheffield Empire, and on the bill was an act with dogs, these dogs, Darley's dog. They were marvellous, these little dogs. And on the Tuesday night when the paper came out, the lady loved these dogs, this act. Loved them. And when the paper came out on Tuesday, it said about these dogs and were awful and how cruelty and all the rest of it you do. And this lady went to the office the next day and said, I'd like to see the person that wrote the notice in the paper about the theatre last night. And, you know, a young girl about 17 came out. I said, I wrote it. She said, what do you know about the theatre? What do you know about animals? What do you know about anything? Caused a terrible row. And a lot of these people who criticise, they've never seen
So you don't get upset when you're attacked or
anymore.
criticised?
No, I don't, because, I mean, it's just one person's opinion. But when you've seen great things, I feel sorry for them today because they've never seen anything great musicals like I've seen in my day. I mean, you had a marvellous musical here not long ago, The Sound of Music, which was wonderful, I believe, with 18 in the orchestra and 60 on the stage. That's how I remember the theatre. That's when the music strikes up, your hair goes up at the back of your head. And then the next thing I hear that the Perchance to Dream's out doing a tour, and they've got a trio in the pit. Now, can you imagine that? And that's no good. When I did my last show at Torquay, I had 12 chorus girls in 1976. Lovely orchestra, 12 in the orchestra. And it struck up the orchestra, all the girls came on. Today they have 3 girls or 4 girls.
Because they can't afford to stage it.
Well, that's it, but I can't, so therefore I'm better out of it. I met Vanessa Lee not very long ago, the great Vanessa Lee, you know, who was Ivor's leading lady. And she said to me, darling, I don't miss it a bit. I go to the theatre and look up. She said, the best days, I wouldn't go back for the world. That's what it is.
But are you now out of show business?
Not really, Chris, no. I like doing things like this. If I'm asked to do different things on television, but not very good. If the right thing came along, I suppose I might do it, but of course I don't want to get tied up with all that now.
Except you weren't in show business to live. I mean, you lived for show business, so
Absolutely.
Can you ever give it up?
Yeah, oh no. Well, you see, it's not like it used to be. You see, I'd be very difficult to work with now because I've seen all the lovely things that used to happen. I say, I can't put up with that. And where the girls, and 4 girls come creeping, I say, oh dear, when you used to 12. You know, it's all those simple things, and I love living in Torquay. And I've got very lazy, you know. All of a sudden I feel 90, and I go to Exeter to do my shopping, I go to Plymouth to do my shopping, I go on to the moors, I go to Morton Hampstead to see a friend of mine there, I go to Crystal and see Dear Arthur. I'm ever so lazy, it's terrible.
Having the time of your life.
Well, I mean, I should never make another cowboy film, that's for sure.
Well, if you were given the opportunity of writing your own little label to stick on your time capsule, which they're going to read in 100 years' time to sum up your life, what would you put actually on that epitaph?
Satisfied.